guys, today's video is going to be my foundation routine, and it's going to be like not my everyday but like my flawless all-out foundation routine. So I hope you guys like it, and if you do, thumbs up the video, comment with any questions, concerns, or criticism, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the video. Bye. Okay, so as you can see, I have a lot of like breakouts, and I haven't broken out like this bad since like high school. I don't know what it is, but I figured that would make today like the perfect day to show you my foundation routine and how I get it all like covered up. And basically for the routine, I'm just going to show you anything to build like the foundation before I put my makeup on. So my like liquid foundation, concealer, powder, all that stuff. So the very first thing I'm going to do is take this Maybelline Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser as my primer, and a lot of people are saying this is comparable to the Benefit Professional, but I've never used it enough to like give you a fair comparison. So I just take like a pea-sized amount on my finger, and really I just dot it in my I just dot it mainly in my T-zone, and right here is where I get my like biggest, most noticeable pores, but I've never had any real issues with pores. So I just dot it here and here, and I put some on my forehead. And this little part right here usually gets dry and like it just looks weird with foundation, so I make sure to put some there. Then I put some on my chin and down my nose, and I put a tiny bit around my eyes just for my concealer purposes. And then I just buff it in. Oh, also I wanted to tell you guys that I did moisturize before I started. It's important to moisturize before you start, because if your skin is dry, your foundation is going to come out patchy and it's just not going to go on smooth. And if it's like a keep you matte foundation, it's just going to cling to your dry patches and it's not going to look good at all. And usually I just kind of chill for a couple minutes and like let the primer just kind of like set in my skin and into the pores and whatever it needs to do. Now when I have really bad breakouts, I use some kind of like stiff stick concealer, and that's for only the kind of breakouts that I really don't think would be able to cover with just some kind of liquid, you know, some serious ones like this one up here. It actually doesn't look that bad now, but just like these really red ones, like concealer just really doesn't help when it's liquid for those. So this is the Maybelline Cover Stick. I was about to say Maybelline New York, but I don't know why. And I have it in light beige just because it doesn't really matter what shade it is because I'm doing it before my foundation, but you know, anyway. I just put my finger on it and warm it up with my finger and get some on there like that. Didn't mean to like backwards flip you off or anything. And then I just like dot it like this over the areas that are superly like discolored. Sometimes I'll put some of this on my cheeks, but then I realize that that can make my foundation look really, really cakey. So I don't really do that unless my cheeks are having like a really bad redness that day. And this is by no means my everyday routine. This is like when I'm doing my full out, like crazy, needs to stay on my face, somewhere important foundation. And it's okay that you put this on before your concealer. I mean, before your foundation, because it's so like thick, it's really not going to move around that much. It's just going to like blend it more. And like I said, it looks crazy right now only because I have so many breakouts, so I'm pretty much covering my face in it. But it'll come all together. Or like basically it's not like this whole area didn't need to be covered, I just was blending it out. So and they say that like when you break out on your chin, it's hormonal. So I'm guessing that's probably what the problem is. My hormones, I guess, are just going crazy because literally my whole chin was like the starting point of this problem, and it's just been going strong. Okay, so then you should look like a crazy dot monster like that. But as you can see, all like the really potent redness of it is gone, so that's what we're going for. Now I'm going to take a damp beauty blender, and I know it looks disgusting, but it's just stained. I wash it like all the time. And I just dampened it, and I'm just going to soften the edges of all this to make it more blendable when we put the foundation on. I'm not trying to like make it seamless or anything. I just want it nice and smooth when we put on our foundation. And I washed it with like this soap, and it's safe for your face and everything, so it's okay that I washed it with it, but it smells so good. So every time I like put on my foundation, I'm like, that smells yummy. Okay, so now you can see that it's like still noticeable, but I blended it in nicely. Okay, so I have 3 foundations here, and I'm going to show you basically which ones I use for what kind of days I'm going for. On a day that I'm just like, don't really care and I just want to eat it, and I just want to even out my skin tone or something, I use my Covergirl Clean Oil Control Anti-luisance foundation, and it is in Creamy Natural, and it looks like that. And like I said, I just use that for like, maybe when I'm just going out for a little, I just want to put some on, but I don't want anything like serious. Then on any day that like, I know I'm going to be gone for a long time and I want to make sure my foundation like stays, I will use my CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation. And when I'm kind of rushing, I use this because since it's a primer, concealer, and foundation like all in one, I usually can just put this on without primer, without concealer, if I just want like something quick, but that works really, really good. Now when I want to get like a flawless, full coverage, all day, stick to your face, like perfection, I will use my Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Plus. And as you can tell, this is high end, that's why I don't use it like on the daily. And I have it in number 25. But for some reason my tan's taking really long to fade from the summer, so I have a little sample of 35 that I mix together when I put it on my face. And actually lately, if I really want it to look nice, I will put this one, all the light areas on my face, and then anywhere I'll be bronzing, I will put the dark one like in the contours here, sides of my forehead, under my neck, you get it. So today, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to make it like a full coverage foundation routine, so I'm going to use the Makeup Forever. So with my big bottle and the lighter shade that I have, I'm just going to squeeze some onto the back of my hand. Actually, I'm going to squeeze some on the bottom of the beauty blender. And I only squeeze about like that much at a time on, because it does go really far, because it's so full coverage. And like I said before, I'm just going to dot it on any areas that I wouldn't like bronze. So, I put some dots. Kind of like that. It's looks like a train wreck, but you get the idea. And I'm just going to bounce it all over your face. If any of you don't know, that's how you use the beauty blender. You make sure it's wet so it doesn't soak up your foundation. And then you just bounce it on your face and it just like flawlessly blends into your skin. And actually, today, compared to my neck, it really doesn't look too light on me, so actually I'm probably just going to do my whole face in this one color because it doesn't look really off, especially after I bronze and stuff. So I guess my tan's finally fading. Okay, so you saw the little tiny amount that I took, and look how like just like flawlessly it covered like my face from my eyes all the way down. And I also just pat a little bit on my eyes. I don't know, just to make sure they match, even though I'm going to put concealer over it anyway. So I'm just going to take a little bit more, definitely not as much as I did before, for my forehead and to blend down my neck. And I'm just going to dot some on my forehead. And then any that's left on there, I'm just going to dot under my neck to make sure it all blends. And the trick is you can go like this, Give yourself a double chin to make sure there's no like harsh line of your makeup. Because I know none of you want to be that girl. And then you're going to do the same you did to the rest of your face and just blend it all in. And when I get near the hairline, I kind of like flick it out towards the hairline just to make sure I don't have any kind of color differences. Okay, and if you haven't already been able to tell, see this big dent in my forehead? I don't know where it came from, but it's not just when I make an expression. Like if I get close, do you see it's like a permanent dent in my forehead? So sometimes it'll look real cakey when I put stuff on it, so I just like obsess over it when I put on all my foundation and stuff. I wish there was something I could like put in there to just like seal it over. I apologize very deeply for the loud rock music you might hear in the background. My dad is downstairs in the basement, I'm guessing cleaning or something, and he is just rocking his little heart out, so just ignore that if you can. Anyway, I asked him if he could turn it down, but next I'm going to take my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, and you all know about this. I know you do if you watch any kind of beauty videos because every beauty person in the world uses it, so just you have to be careful with the pump because a lot does come out, but I'm going to use this to conceal a little bit under my eyes so it doesn't get cakey and just dot on anywhere I have those blemishes. Okay, so I only take a little bit like that. And the first thing I do, very lightly, I put my finger like that to get a little bit, and I just go around, and anywhere I have a blemish or the color still showing through of it, I just dot it on, like that. Also, I think I actually am going to do a giveaway when I get to 50 of the products in my hair care routine. So as soon as I hit 50 subscribers, I will do that, and one lucky person will get it. And if it's not already, it'll be linked somewhere up here while I'm talking about it, obviously. Well, my hair care video, if you want to watch it to see what I would be giving away. I don't think I'm going to add music right here in these parts because it's actually like, even though it's probably awkward while I'm not talking and I'm just dotting it on my face. But I don't think you guys will mind. Okay. So, all of that covered all of the blemishes on my face, and you saw how many I had. And now I'm just going to blend it with the Beauty Blender, but I also wanted to tell you that if you can see that the foundation, there's a little bit of my redness that still peeks through. But I honestly don't mind it because I don't like blush that much anyway, so my natural redness just looks like blush through my foundation, so you could conceal that if you wanted, but I'm not going to. And like I said, I'm just going to dot this over wherever I put the concealer and blend it in. Oh, and a really, really good tip for like not getting cakey is one, use like a little bit of product at a time, because sometimes you'd be surprised how little amount of something takes to work the way you want it to. And also, let everything like set before you add any powder to it at all. And don't use too much powder. So I'm going to take another little tiny dot, as little as I can get with this pump, which is still a lot because it's hard to get it out, and mix between my fingers, and I'm just going to put it here and here on my eyes and just try to like spread it out very lightly in a triangle shape. Put some on my inner corner, and then any that's left on my finger is what I use to prime like my eyelids. Like I don't use a paint pot or anything. I just use whatever's left on my finger. And that just covers up like any of the veins or anything that I have. Then again, take the Beauty Blender and take the pointy side And I'm just going to make sure that everything is concealed. And my dogs have to bark, of course. And I know I don't do any voiceovers at all, but if you guys like really like voiceovers, let me know and I could try it. Because I've honestly just never tried it before and I like just like talking to you guys. And then I take the fatter side to just blend the edges of it, since it is like a tiny bit. I just use the bigger side to blend the edges of it with my foundation. And as you can see, I basically have no dark circles at all. Then finally, remember this is a full coverage. I rarely do this. I do this when I want like something crazy on my face. That's why I'm using so many products. I take my Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, and mine is in the shade Light 2 Vanilla. And I just take this anywhere that I want to highlight, because this is lighter than like my skin. So I make like the triangle by my eye. Like that, see that it's lighter than my foundation. And I go like that, just make sure it's nice and blended in. Do that on this side. Ta-da! And then I just take a little bit. I put some on my forehead. Like that. I put a little bit down the middle of my nose, and then I just put some on my chin. Ta-da! I'm done. I'm just kidding. Once again, take the beauty blender and blend your little heart out. And this stuff blends out like so easy, it's not even funny. And I would not use this just as a regular concealer under your eyes, because I did find out that it does crease. But when it's on your face, it doesn't crease. It's just under your eyes. It's the worst creasing area, and I wouldn't recommend it. And the highlighting on my chin does help cover more of those blemishes I told you I have. So, before I powder anything, if you were to look at my skin, if you were to look in the beginning of this video before I put anything on compared to right now, as you can see, it is flawless. Like, there is nothing to complain about. Now for finishing powders, I have a couple I'm going to show you guys again just so you can see the different options that I used. I use this NYX HD Studio Photogenic Finishing Powder, and it's just like translucent. Or the Makeup Forever Professional HD High Definition Powder, and honestly when I wear these I cannot tell the difference at all. So if you don't want to spend the money on the Makeup Forever, get you some NYX. But since today is my full face, I use two different powders, but they are both drugstore. And first, I take the Covergirl Clean Normal Skin Pressed Powder in 105 Ivory. And it just looks like that. And it just looks like that. Just a powder. And it's really finely milled, which I like about it. Then, on a smaller brush, this is the e.l.f. blush brush, but I don't use it for blush. I use it for under my eyes and all the lighter area on my face setting brush. And I'm just going to tap in here to get some, and I tap it off a little. And I press it above my eye first, because it makes a really nice like blending base. And then whatever is left over, I take under my eye. Because if I just take what was straight on the brush and go under your eye, that's what can really make all your creases and anything under your eye, especially if you're older, if you have any wrinkles. The powder is what makes them more noticeable. So just getting rid of all of the stuff on top first and then going under there makes it a lot easier. And also always make sure to pat rather than rub, especially where you've put concealer, so you don't disturb the concealer at all. Then I'm just also going to take this into anywhere that I highlighted, so above my eyebrows, Center my nose. And my chin. And on my face, I don't just pat, I dust because I don't want to pack on any of the powder because I don't want to look cakey at all. And next I'm just going to take my little Eco Tools Kabuki and my Maybelline Dream Matte powder, the famous one because everyone in the world talks about this also, and it is in Medium Sand 01. And it just looks like that. It's a very, very fine powder. You've probably heard about it, like I said, because everyone uses it. And I first swirl my brush and then pat it to make sure it's an even coating. And first I just I kind of do a pat and then swirl anywhere that I haven't already put powder. Just to make sure it really gets in there and it doesn't just sit on top of your skin with the hairs and everything. Do it again. I usually do one pat in the powder for each side of my face. And my nose always gets oily, so I always make sure to put extra on there even though I already used a lighter powder. And then I just take one more pat for my forehead. And I blend it under here just for when I put bronzer, it makes it easier to blend out. And if I am doing full face like this and I've spent so much time on it, I will take a setting spray. And I have the travel size of the Urban Decay De-Slick Oil Control Makeup Setting Spray. And this stuff is really good. But I don't think I have any left of this. There is not even a drop left, but I have to get more. But usually, this is by Skindinavia, so if you've heard of the Skindinavia setting spray, they make the Urban Decay ones. But usually I would just spread that all over just to make sure all the powder's set, but looks fine to me.